when you're able to relate what they've gone through to your situation and put it into action, you decided that that's how you wanted to change your life and to impact others. What's been the feedback that you've received since then?
What a beautiful question. I got invited. Got to speak to all the kids in the community. And one girl came right up to me, and I'm standing next to the principal. He goes, Dylan, I have dyslexia. I can't express to you how much it helps me that you came and you shared your story. Thank you so much for coming. And this ninth grade girl looked at the principal and goes, thank you for having him come, because it changed more of our perspective in our lives than you would even know. And me and him kind of looked at each other. He touched his heart and he turned away. And I looked at him, he looked at me, and then me, him, and the girl all just teared up. And I hugged her, I hugged him. And it's like, that's why we do this, right? That's what we're here for.
What is up, Impact Heroes? Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Rick Ornelas. Thank you for spending some time with us today because we know time's a valuable resource and we're going to make it worth your while. I appreciate each and every one of you, not just for listening, but for who you are. I know you're sparking change to make the world a better place every day, and I am humbled and grateful for your efforts. It takes all of us doing our part to spread positive change, and that's what this show is all about. Motivating you with stories of struggle, courage, and hope to empower you to make a difference in your life and the lives of others.
In case you missed it.
The bottom line is we block all of the really good possibilities in our life just by our beliefs. So it's fundamental to just change how you think, change how you see yourself, change what your beliefs.
Available everywhere you listen to your podcasts.
Welcome back, Impact Heroes. Today we have the pleasure of speaking to our latest iSpark Change social impact hero, and he is an interesting one indeed. Our guest today has defied the odds his whole life and continues to do so today. He knows adversity and has gone from not knowing English as a child, learning how to read again, to bringing awareness to dyslexia. He's risen from the challenges of being an orphan with dyslexia to a number of successful endeavors, including becoming a motivational speaker at a very young age, podcast host, and a successful Wall Street tech engineer. He's someone who knows what it means to be resilient and put in the work and teaches others how to do the same through impact, inspiration, motivation, and education. Those are all fantastic, by the way. Please welcome the dynamic, strong, and hardworking man known as Dyslexic Dylan, Dylan Smith. Welcome to the iSpark Change podcast.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome. Thank you for having me on your platform. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, that's great. I was been excited to chat with you and learn more about your story, and I know our audience is as well. So we'll just dive right in. So, Dylan, we have you on the show because we feature those that we consider social impact heroes, those that are making a difference in the world, spreading positive change and impacting others by our definition, making them better, right? By our definition. So we see you as an impactful hero. So the first question I have to you is, do you see yourself as a hero?
What a question. I don't see myself as a hero. I definitely see myself as an example of what is possible. I see myself as an example and a leader who can show you and help people with things that they're struggling with that I did myself. I wouldn't call myself a hero, but I think it's a very nice comment and compliment.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm happy to give it to you because I know that through your speaking and your work, and we were just discussing off air with you being on tour that you're touching a lot of people, and so by virtue of doing that, you're impacting others in a positive way, which through our definition of the acronym of a hero, honors their purpose, engages audience in their mission, ripples their message to others to spread positive change, and opens their heart to the world. You're check. You're checking all those boxes, so that fits you in as a hero. So I do think it's important for every hero and for our audience to know where they came from, right? What's that origin story of how they got to the point of doing what they are today. So share how did it start for you? Where did it start, and where you really got on this path, and and how did it get to where it is now?
So I was adopted from Russia in 2003 with my twin brother. into New Hampshire. And in New Hampshire, we lived with an alcoholic father and a mother for 10 years who was a school teacher on food stamps. And then after that, I was misdiagnosed with ADHD, put on the wrong meds for 10 years. And in high school, we found to have me reevaluated for the first time after being evaluated in kindergarten, and found out I had dyslexia at 16 years old. So I had to learn the alphabet and all my ABCs all over again at 16. To then, when I graduated high school, which we thought was impossible, but I also graduated trade school called BOCES for microcomputer science. And I was class of COVID. So I graduated high school in 2020, which was great for me. I was able to run. I was able to figure out who I was. I was able to figure out what I wanted to do. I was able to reflect on my childhood and what I've experienced, what I went through. And I'm my mindset on everything is somebody always has it worse. So if I fought for food in an orphanage, if I lived with an alcoholic father, if I lived on food stamps, if I was misdiagnosed, and somebody has it worse than me and I can do something to make it better for them, then I better. Like, that's my responsibility. No ifs, ands, or buts. There's no need on why I shouldn't, right? So today I built my company out of my bedroom. So I started with selfie videos and Zoom calls like this and collaborating, and landed myself my production deal at 19 years old, and then ended up getting into some speaker arenas and connected with the right people, got in the rooms with the people who had the results I want, asked the right questions, and now I'm a motivational speaker. I own a studio, podcast host, I guess hero to some, and it's been a blessing because I get to see these changes when I go to schools and talk to these kids in real time, and I get to see. I have a lot of cool friends, and I get to a lot of do cool things, and I get to travel, and I get to all do it in a positive light, the right way. I personally feel.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can definitely tell from your content that you are doing that in a positive manner, right? Hence, you're on our show. So I want to go back to to some of your background, right? Where those challenging times, because you don't get to the experiences that you're having now without having to go through that adversity and without having to learn from those types of things. So what it's easy to assume that the dyslexia was the biggest hurdle, but what would you say was the biggest challenge that you had to go through when you were young, whether it was being adopted or some of the issues with your family, or what was the biggest challenge that you had to go through out of the things that you would mention?
I would probably say the medicine has some pretty crazy side effects. I was on Ritalin and Concerta for 10 years, and that causes meth mites. You can't sleep. If you close your eyes, the world is spinning. Vision was going in and out in my eyes. So that was pretty rough. And then absent father, as every little boy wants his daddy to play ball with him or whatever the case. That was rough. I don't think, like, the misdiagnosis is what it is, right? I think out of everything, I'm happy that I went through what I went through because now it's helping thousands to not go through it as bad as I did.
Hmm. Yeah, you obviously learned some things along the way, and now you're sharing that. And the way I look at the hero's journey is that it's our duty, as we've gone through some adversity, to teach others, so it makes their journey a little easier, right? So they don't have to, they can avoid some of those hurdles or pitfalls or things that we had to go through. So I'm curious, when you came to the States, did you speak any English?
We did not. No.
You did not. Okay, so you don't really have much, an accent, per se, or not, at least that I hear right now.
No,
So,
I
so
don't have an accent, and I'm not as big as you think I am. I'm 5'3", so I know I'm Russian, but I'm not huge.
okay, you're not, Ivan Drago or something in
Right.
Rocky. So,
Unfortunately.
okay, so small in stature, but not small in heart. So, in terms of, you can use that quote, by the way. It's good for your
That's
social media.
amazing. I love that.
so, so okay, so in the dyslexia, when I love going back to some of the things that made you who you are today. In the dyslexia and kind of the misdiagnosis, is language, like, is learning English still going on at that phase? Like, what's happening as all that is going on?
Well, we didn't know what was going on, right? But it's like I did kindergarten twice, and then I learned my ABCs again in 10th grade at 16. So in my head, I was still learning English, and I was learning it in kindergarten. I was learning it all. I'm always learning every day. It was definitely hard. Can't read, can't transcribe, but the more I learned, we noticed that it wasn't just the language itself. I also couldn't read due to my dyslexia. So I think the hardest part was the social. You know, you're in the small classes, you're being pulled out of class, you can't go to recess, you can't go to lunch, can't hang out with friends after school because you're at a tutor. That
Mhm.
socially is terrible.
Mhm.
And you know, being treated for the wrong thing, right? Like medicine, but also socially at school. Like schools are doing what I thought would be helping me, having an aid, having teachers pull me in and out of class. But it helped me with ADHD, which I didn't have, which is just due to the diagnosis. But socially, it was terrible. So I love going to schools and painting the picture, the perspective of, you know, I put in triple the amount of work that my peers did for my 40. I never had people do group projects with me because I knew I would slow them down or they would probably fail it if I was their partner. Always
Mhm.
partners with the teacher, always staying after, always behind, always the so and so stupid kid. Always trying to fit in, but I can't because I'm a stupid kid. Because, you know, a lot of IEPs, okay, everybody with an IEP goes into this classroom. So you got
Mhm.
kids in there with autism, Down syndrome, dyslexia, ADHD. It's just one little big jump, and it's just socially, it's destroying. And it also, you're like, why am I here? I mean, there's nothing wrong with being autistic or Down syndrome, but you're like, what's wrong with me then? Right, on a social
Yeah.
aspect.
Yeah, sure.
Schools, kids, and high school is a very judgmental time of your life. And then at 16, they pull me off the meds, and I balloon up to 170 at 5'3". I look like the blueberry kid from Willy Wonka. So now I'm the
Mhm.
stupid kid. Now I'm in those small classes. Now I'm the blueberry kid from Willy Wonka. It's just defying all odds, is what it was. And I would do it again because I see what it does now for those who need it.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing all that because I think, everything you just shared right there, Dylan, that gives a lot of insight and helps others that may be, struggling with something right now, knowing that, that doesn't mean that that's there forever. That doesn't mean that, they are defined by, labels or classrooms or anything like that. So, where was the point where you said, hey, okay, I'm moving past this, and now I want to help others. Now I want to not just, hey, I've gotten past it, but now how can I use it to impact others? What was that defining moment, or how did that come about?
It's 2020, COVID hit. They pulled us out of school. I had a lot of time, and I did what everybody did, went down a YouTube rabbit hole. But my YouTube rabbit hole was Ed Milet, Craig Siegel, Ken Jocelyn, Tony Robbins, and they all and Ryan Serhant all had something in common, and what they had in common was exercise. So, okay, well, maybe I should start running because they're all talking about how cardio is good for the mind and the heart. So the first night, I put on a Tony Robbins speech. I throw on a 40-pound weighted vest, and I run 3 miles. My mind is racing. My legs are cramping. I try to do an Epsom salt bath that night. Legs are in pain. I can't sleep because my mind has never raced like that through endorphins and this talk going on at the same time. I feel like I unlocked a whole new side of my brain I didn't even know I had. So the next night I go, okay, I'm going to do 6. Hopefully it will calm down my brain. Well, I do 6, run through shin splints. Now I'm laying on the turf and can't walk. Had to get picked up that night. Same problem. Third night I go back, I do 8 miles. I'm laying on the turf. I'm regretting my decisions because my feet are and my legs are just locked up. But my
Hmm.
mind is racing. I'm still like listening to the speech, wondering if I'm ever going to go back to high school. And it's like, if I went through all that and these guys are saying they did it, and I could make it better for somebody who might be going through it worse than I had it, or be going through it just like I did, and I have these tools because I had a tutor. I did Orton Gillingham. We figured out it was dyslexia. Maybe that it could help somebody. So let me just talk to my phone. Okay, I'll talk to my phone. I'll post it. And when I was in school, the only reason I went back every day is if I got one win a day. So one math problem on Monday, I can come back Tuesday. One social studies question right on Tuesday, I can come back Wednesday. One science thing right on Wednesday, I come back Thursday. And I said, if I impact one person with this one post, I will post again. And I
Hmm.
impacted one person. And then I got to go back tomorrow. So I got myself into this crazy cycle of running every night to motivational speakers and making a video when I was done and posting it. And if we impact one person, it was worth it. And I say that I'm on tour now, and these talks I'm giving are in front of 2, 3, 4, 500 people. And I was at my home school a couple weeks ago speaking to the high schoolers, 400 of them. And I said, if I impact one of you guys today, this was all worth it. The 4 years, the tens of thousands of dollars, the sleepless nights, the travel, the credit cards, the X. If one person in this audience is impacted, this was all worth it. That
Yeah.
was my mindset. That is my mindset. It's going to be my mindset.
Yeah. That's very motivating, if you will. And I know that in hearing that on our show, that you will impact, more than one individual in hearing that. And it's great because I always love when I hear, I'm clearly much older than you. And I always love when I hear young individuals like yourself that have found personal development and that have learned from some of these greats. And some of those people I know personally, and know their stories and everything, and have had on the show. And when you're able to relate what they've gone through to your situation, and put it into action, because so many people, Dylan, they listen to things or they read things, but they never do anything with it, right? They never do anything with it. And the fact that you said, okay, I'm going to go out and run 3 miles, 6 miles, 8 miles, reminds me a little of David Goggins in there, is like, I'm just going to keep going no matter what, right? Maybe
Yeah.
listen to some of his work, but no matter what the cost, right? Even if my legs are cramping or shin splints, or and I've been a runner and have had all those injuries, and they can all be terrible. So I know what those feel like. So I applaud you that, at a very young age, you took a difficult situation in COVID, and you know, decided to make yourself better, as opposed to, the people that are, just sat on their couch and binge watched Netflix and, drank or whatever. And so that part's great, in that you decided that that's how you wanted to change your life and to impact others. What has been the feedback from others? Like, you were just at your high school, right? You were just at your high school, you shared with them. What's been the feedback that you've received since then?
What a beautiful question. So in November, I went and spoke to the entire Central School District staff of my school district, where I went to middle school and high school. 500 people. I gave a 38-minute keynote, and it ended with a standing ovation. And everybody in the auditorium, including me, was in tears. That went all over the news. I got invited. Got to speak to all the kids of the community, and I had parents reaching out to me, texting me, DMing me, kids DMing me, people messaging me. Dylan, I'm going through dyslexia. Or, Dylan, I went through this. This helped me. Dylan, thank you for coming today. We needed this. I was staying with the principal of the Mayapack High School, and it was after I gave my talk to the ninth grade. And one girl came right up to me, and I'm standing next to the principal. He goes, Dylan, I have dyslexia. I have this. I've went through that. I can't express to you how much it helps me that you came and you shared your story. It's going to help me socially. It's going to help me be driven. It's motivating. It's inspiring. Thank you so much for coming. And this ninth grade girl looked at the principal and goes, thank you for having him come, because it changed more of our perspective in our lives than you would even know. And me and him kind of looked at each other. He touched his heart and he turned away. And I looked at him, he looked at me, and then me, him, and the girl all just teared up and then stood there. And I hugged her, I hugged him. And it's like, that's why we do this, right? That's what we're here for.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story. And when we get to the end, we talk about our spark moments, and that could be a spark moment. You'll have to come up with another one when you get to the end, but I'm sure that won't be difficult for you, and you'll understand what I mean when I get to the spark moment, if you haven't heard that before on an episode. So where do you see the future going for yourself? Have you discovered that's your niche, that's where you want to make impact, is with schools? I mean, you're obviously young, so you can relate to them more so than like me. I've spoken at schools, right? And I've, obviously many years since I've been in school. So have you yeah what have you determined, as a result of starting to speak and, get your feet wet and dive into that?
So I don't really care where I speak, to be quite honest, because I mentor kids one-on-one with this company called Superpower Mentors. And these kids have ADHD, they have dyslexia, they have autism. And I get to mentor them one-on-one and help them no matter what. So that's where my passion is. I get to do my passion every day. The speaking, I hope it's just the same mindset of, like, if I impact one person, it was worth it. Like this weekend, I'm speaking in front of 300 people at a huge conference with a red carpet and celebrities and X, Y, and Z and Alex Morton and Jen Gottlieb. And I'm like, if I impact one person on the red carpet, it was worth it. If I impact one person on stage, it was worth it. If I impact one person at the meet and greet, it was worth it. Like whatever, that's my mindset. I'll come right back to it. I don't really care what stage I'm on or what carpet I'm on or what networking event I'm at. It's always just if I can impact one.
Yeah. And that's a good approach to have, because when you do that, then you'll always speak from the heart, right? And it'll always be relational and not transactional. And that's how you really connect with an audience,
Yes.
and I've uh, done lots of speaking as well. And it is what will make a difference for that impact, what will make a difference in terms of having that impact as opposed to not having an impact, right? Because I've seen speakers where you go up there and you're like, they're just doing it because they're doing it, right? Like it's a job
Yeah.
for them. It's not they're doing it for impact or for that heart component, and you can really tell, and the audience can tell. So yeah, you'll have many more people in tears at future events, I'm sure. I'm sure. So share more about the Superpower Mentors, because I've never heard of that organization, and that would be worthy to share on this platform so others can learn about it.
Superpower Mentors is a beautiful project. It's a beautiful company. It's a beautiful program. So the way it works is you talk to one of the head people, either it's Dylan or Max or Jake, and you go, hey, my kid's got X, Y, and Z. Say it's autism or social issues or ADHD or dysgraphia or dyslexia, and they go, okay. And they have a bunch of us mentors that they hand select. So they reach out to you and they go, hey, we want you to be a mentor because of what we heard or seen X, Y, and Z. And you go to the office in Manhattan and they interview you and they're like, we'd love for you to mentor kids. And then you have somebody, Dylan Cooper is my person, and she's amazing. And she'll talk to parents and stuff, and she goes, okay, your kid's going through X, Y, and Z, and his interests are X, Y, and Z. I think your kid would fit with our mentor, Dylan. So then I go into a meeting with the parents, and then I come back and I go into a meeting with the parents and the kid. And then the parents and kid go, yes, we want him, or no, we don't. And a lot of them go, yes, we do. And I get to mentor the kid. I call him once a week. We talk, we Zoom. We have vision boards, we have goals, we have dreams, we have ambitions, we have pleasure, we have homework, we have work, whatever the case. And you get to see it firsthand. And it's a beautiful process. I've had kids say that they play games on the playground and everybody fights to be me because I'm a character in one of their games. And it's about winning these missions. And it's beautiful because this kid told me that everybody wants to play Dylan because Dylan wins his missions. So those little things like make you cry and remind you of why you do what you do and what
Yeah,
really matters.
that's fantastic. So what's the age range for these kids?
All age. I've done elementary, middle, high, out of high.
Okay. And then this organization, is it only local where you are, or is it global, or,
It's
nationwide? What is it?
it's nationwide.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. I'd love to, I'll get more information about them, and, we
Yeah,
could feature them on our social media as a social impact spotlight
for
for sure,
sure.
to share more about their work, because yeah, that sounds fantastic. And, you talk about impact, that's clearly impacting, in a big way, a lot of
Yeah,
kids. So, and making their futures brighter, which is important for all of us.
for sure.
Yeah, well, fantastic. So, we talked about the challenges, when you were younger. As you've gotten into your speaking, what's been the biggest challenge at this phase of where you're at, for where you want to go?
Balancing peace, I would say, and making sure that you're around authentic and real people. Being in industry where it puts you in the rooms with certain people. Like I'm friends with Shane Appel, who's a very well-known pop star. I'm friends with Tony Marino, who's a very well-known rapper. That puts you at certain after parties. That puts you at certain social events. That puts you on certain red carpets, which is great and all. But it also puts you around a lot of people who don't want the best for you, and they'll do whatever they can to get what they need.
Yeah.
So learning how to filter that and read people and understand what they really want and having to second guess a lot of people, that's been a challenge for sure. I also work full time as a travel tech on Wall Street. Balancing that and this is hard as well. But, challenges that force you to level up, grow, and become a better version of yourself.
Yeah, the balance. And so tell me this, if magic wand, if you could get to where you're doing some of these things that you love, and I'm not saying you don't love the tech work, but some of these things that you love and the speaking all the time, would that be a goal for yourself, to not have your full-time
100%.
Wall
Yes.
Street job? Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, and it sounds like, Dylan, you're doing the right things, so that you'll eventually get there. How soon that happens, only time will tell. But
Right.
it sounds like you're doing all the right things, and you have the right types of people that you're following as mentors and to learn from, and so if you keep putting in the work, I don't see why that won't be possible, for
Yeah.
you, and then then you'll continue to have bigger impact. So
100%.
yeah, so that's great. So, oh, geez, whew, that's never happened. It's the first time in my podcast I knocked over the microphone. That's great, and you were here to see it first. So what's obviously I just kind of painted that picture of that's a goal for you. Where 10 years from now, what do you see as Dylan? We'll say you're in Dylan 2.0 right now. What do you see in Dylan 3.0 in 10 years from now?
I have a beautiful story for your question. So, my mentor is Craig Siegel. He's the head of CLS. He has the best-selling book called The Reinvention Formula. He's
Mhm.
a global renowned public speaker. Whatever he does everything. And he asked me
I
what
know
my
Craig
goal
very
was.
well. Good friend of mine.
Love Craig. He asked me what my goal was, and I said I want to be the next Tony Robbins. And he said, "You want to be the next Dylan Smith." So I'll ask you again. And I was like, "No, I want to be the next Tony Robbins." He goes, "You want to be the next Dylan Smith at the size of Tony Robbins." And I was like, "Yes, that's what I want." So that's the goal. That's where 3.0 is.
Okay, gotcha. And it's funny because Craig and I we spoke, and he's been on the show, and I know him well, and we spoke. This is probably about a year ago, and we were talking about the same kind of thing for himself. Being like Tony Robbins, but bigger. A bigger, bigger, bolder version of that. So that there's plenty of room for excellent motivational speakers and people that are helping others become better, as I see
Yeah.
it, personal development gurus and so forth. So where can our community, where's the best for our community to track your progress, learn more about you, and see what you have going on and connect with you?
Google Dylan Smith Dyslexia. Everything comes up. dsfordyslexia.com. D is for dyslexia 19 on Instagram. D is for dyslexia1 at Gmail. You can email. I'm happy to talk to you. I'm happy to help. Please answer any. Don't reach out. Don't think that I won't answer. I 100% will. I did want to correct one thing on the intro. I've never tried to commit suicide ever, but I have saved somebody's life who did.
Oh, okay,
So
my apologies.
no worries.
Yeah.
So that I saved somebody's life who almost committed suicide. So I make it a point at every podcast that I'm on, every talk, please talk to me because I'd rather have a conversation than hear that you're gone. So I've had friends who had committed suicide recently, unfortunately, but I've also had friends who'd come up to me and told me that I'd saved their life through my talks, my podcasts, and my content. So please reach out if you want to, if you need to. I'm more than happy to talk. I'm more than happy to connect. I'm more than happy to do whatever we can because it can always get better.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for sharing that, Dylan. Not only for the correction, but also for the purposes of being there for others that that need it most. So, before we get to our final question here, we like to talk about spark moments, which I alluded to a little bit earlier on the
Yeah.
program. And those spark moments are those moments in life where our actions have a ripple effect that go far and beyond that initial act. And it's either we affect someone else's life or they affect our life. And you maybe you don't see the effect initially until many years later. So I want you to share a story of positive change. And you've already shared a few, right? You've already shared a few, and maybe you can share one related to these folks that were looking to end their life, but share an example of a spark moment where either you impacted someone or someone impacted you, and you didn't know right away, but now you're seeing the impact much later.
Yeah. I had just I had somebody come up to me and he said, "I've been to every one of your shows. I've watched every one of your videos. I'm struggling mentally and I almost committed suicide, but I waited till this one conference you were speaking at to come see you speak." And I said, "I'll wait until that conference." And he waited, and it was the day that Craig Siegel let me do something pretty crazy, and he changed my life forever. And I had sold out a venue of 300 plus people. I had a red carpet, and I invited Craig Siegel, and he allowed me to have him on stage and interview him live in front of 300 people.
Oh, very cool.
and publicly announced that I was his protege or little bro. And somebody come up to me after and said, your talk with Craig Siegel saved my life. And now he's doing very well. Now he is doing his little talks. Now he's connecting with communities that are on his level, and he's meeting his heroes, and he's sharing his story, and he's vulnerable, and he's smiling, and I can tell he is happy. And he's told both me and Craig that we had saved his life. So we always invite him to all of our events, and we always talk to him. And he's helped people out of what he was in as well. So indirectly, we've saved multiple lives, and I love that story because it's something that I never thought that I would do, chasing dyslexia or my story, but I have, and I think it's a beautiful thing. And I think that if we keep doing what we're doing, it will save more than I would even know.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, a beautiful example of a spark moment, Dylan. So thank you very much for sharing that, because I'm glad, first off, that he was able to share that with you. And I will tell you, doing this for a while, that you will get a lot of stories like that. You will have people that approach you and they do tell you how you've impacted them. There will be far, far more that you will never know. And, maybe someday, you find out, or someday you don't. Just know that they are out there and that you are making an impact. And, for every one that comes up and tells you, there's probably, 99 others that
Yeah.
don't, that were impacted in the same way. So yeah, so keep doing what you're doing, and you'll keep having impact.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So our goal at iSpark Change is to positively impact 1 billion people within 5 years of launching our upcoming social impact social media platform. Now, we know we can't do this alone. We know we need the help of impactful leaders like yourself, people to show others the way, because many people feel, as I once did, and maybe as you did, Dylan, that they're too small to make a difference. So we value your thoughts and opinions as a social impact hero on our program. So I want you to peer into the future, peer into the iSpark Change crystal ball here, and tell us, what can the world become if everyone starts believing that they can impact others in a positive way?
What a beautiful playground. The world is your playground. If everybody thinks that way, the best advice I ever got from my grandfather is love wins. Love wins, play the long game. Treat people better than you want to be treated. You never know what people are going through. If you put everybody in one room puts their problems into a bin, 110% you want to pull yours back out.
Wow.
A smile can go farther than you think. I like your hair can go farther than you think. Saying something mean and being dramatic or bullying somebody goes just as far as if you lean the other way and go, I like your hair. Have a beautiful day. Every time I talk to everybody, I did it to you this morning. Whatever day it is, Monday through Sunday, I'm like, happy Tuesday, happy
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah,
I do
you
it to
did.
people at the gym. I do it to people on talk shows. I do it to everybody here at the office, because you don't know how far that can go. But I know it will go farther than if I didn't say it.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that, Dylan. Wise words from a young individual. So appreciate that. So, thank you for taking time to share your heart and wisdom with our audience today, Dylan. You came in, you over delivered, as I expected you would, and your desire to impact others and love others is evident. You're filled with passion, humility, and you lead with a heart of service and gratitude, which tells me that you will continue to have success in all facets of life. And this is only the beginning of your social impact.
Thank you. Can I say one thing about you?
Sure. Thanks.
I wanted to thank you for doing what you do, because you are serving, you are making a positive impact. You are doing more than what most. You are doing what is required to really make a positive impact. And, I think you will for sure impact way more than one person. And allowing me on your platform, I have an immense amount of gratitude for you and your kind words and your compliments and this opportunity. So thank you for being you, and thank you for being a beautiful addition to the world. It's definitely a better place with you here.
Oh, well, thank you. I take and receive those, Dylan. I really appreciate them. And I can tell they're genuine. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, yeah, my pleasure. All right. Thanks for being on the show, Dylan.
Of course.
All right, Impact Heroes, it's our stories that connect us all, and we love hearing Dylan's today. Dylan Smith, you're not only an inspiring and amazing human being, you truly are an iSpark Change social impact hero. We'll see you all next time.
Do you want Rick to speak at your event? Here's what others have to say.
Did not know his story, and it was so inspirational, and his presence on stage, his authenticity was just incredible.
Performance made me feel some type of way. My name is Craig Siegel.
If you're looking for a speaker for your next event, hire Rick. I promise you this, you will not be disappointed.
Visit rickcornelis.com to book him today.
Remember, Impact Heroes, every positive action can be a spark moment that has a ripple effect that spreads far beyond the initial act. So go out there and spark change. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this episode, then please smash that 5-star rating on iTunes or Spotify and leave a review. We value your comments and we want to hear from you in the community. Thank you for listening. God bless you, and we'll see you next week on the iSpark Change podcast.